Once, there was a king who had a garden. In the middle of the garden, there was a large and deep pond. The water in the pond was as white as milk. Around its edges was greenery, and within that greenery, there were colorful flowers. The king loved his queen dearly, and every evening he would come to the garden for a walk with her. The queen also liked the garden. One day, the queen said to the king, "My dear king, this garden is beautiful, and the pond is large. It would be wonderful if you kept a beautiful swan and a lovely female swan. The swan will swim in the pond, and so will the female swan." The king replied, "Very well, we will do just that." A few days later, the king brought a large swan and a large female swan and released them into the pond. He began to take great care of them. The swan was beautiful, and so was the female swan. Their feathers were as white as snow. A boy named Johnny took care of them. Johnny was very clever in looking after them. One day, the female swan laid a large, round, white egg. The egg was beautiful. Johnny showed the egg to the king and queen. Both were delighted. The king rewarded Johnny, and Johnny too was pleased. Johnny brought a basket and some soft grass. He placed the grass inside the basket, then carefully placed the basket in a corner. The female swan eventually laid a total of 7 large eggs. Johnny would carefully pick them up and place them in the basket. He arranged them beautifully. The first egg was placed in the center, and the remaining 6 eggs were arranged around it, just like little children playing a circle game. One day, the female swan began searching for her eggs. She searched and searched until she grew tired, but she could not find them. She was sad the entire day. She didn't eat or drink anything. She sat by the pond, burying her face in her feathers, and the swan quietly strolled nearby. Johnny understood and took the female swan to her eggs. Upon seeing them, she was happy and started making joyful sounds. From that day on, the female swan began incubating the eggs. For a month, she sat on them while the swan roamed around the basket. One morning, Johnny woke up early and saw little baby swans walking around, following the female swan. A large family of swans now lived in the pond. The king and queen were delighted to see so many swans and rewarded Johnny. Over time, the pond became home to a large family of swans.